shit, it's been a while, huh? Let's get this over with. Okay, so it's been a while since I've actually done this series, and honestly, I'm glad to pick it back up again, and with a topic that, I don't know exactly how to put this, but, this topic. Oh, we're in for a ride for this. So again, we're covering something that's pretty much all over the place on DA and also on Twitter and Tumblr and Instant, and pretty much everywhere else. But this one is kind of more complicated and it's a little scattered, but I think we'll be fine. So, let's get on with it. Hello everyone, my name's Kofi Heyman. Welcome back to DeviantArt Etiquette, episode 2! Hey! Hey! Yay! Hey! Okay, let's get this over with. Now, by the beginning of this episode, you're probably wondering, Kofi, what topic are you going to cover today? Well, my friends, I'm going to be covering shipping. There is so much to talk about when it comes to this topic, and there's one thing that really irks me about it that I'm probably not going to even do as a DeviantArt Etiquette episode because honestly, it's something that I've seen specifically on Tumblr and like Instagram, and it's kind of messed up, and I'd very much would rather spare you guys from my rant on it. So that's not going to be covered today. It'll probably be mentioned, but that's pretty much it. So there are a lot of rules when it comes to shipping. Well, more like I should say, there are huge simple rules. Like, there's probably like a good few simple rules. But under that is a bunch of other tiny little details that you really need to pay attention to. One of these things of which my friend Kat is going to cover in this video. To start off, let's list with some stuff that's okay. Some stuff that's okay is stuff like heterosexual relationships, homosexual relationships, anything LGBT. Crossover pairings is normal, OCX canon is normal as long as it makes sense. Honestly, anything that, seems pretty much normal on the surface, that's totally fine. They don't have to make sense, but as long as they don't violate the don'ts of shipping, then honestly, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, Kat herself ships a lot of crossover pairings, and from what I've seen of the ones that she ships, they're pretty much normal. There's nothing wrong with them. They don't violate the don'ts, which I'm gonna get into. Now, the don'ts is something like anything abusive. Well, that one's actually pretty touchy. Like, if you're doing it as a way to cope with trauma, then that's fine. But if you're doing it for the sake of doing it, then, I'm gonna have to question you on that, buddy. Also, other really sensitive stuff is something like the one P word that if I say I know I'm gonna get demonetized. It ends with the Tor, by the way. Yeah, that one. Or anything that involves, another P word that ends in philia. You know that one, too. The person I'm gonna end up talking about kind of is like borderline on that situation. Another thing is age gaps, which my friend Kat is gonna explain, so take it away, Kat.
Gamers, it's me, Kat, and thank you so much, Kofi, for allowing me to talk about the topic of shipping in this DA Etiquette episode with you. If you don't know, I'm a shipper of many crossover pairings, but there are some things to do when dealing with couples with an age difference. Basically, for those who don't know, an age difference is just that, a difference between ages of two characters. The two big points of age difference shippings are, 1. Check the ages of the characters before you ship, and 2. Don't ship the characters if the characters are too far apart in age, which means 5 to 6 years or higher in age difference. An example of a ship with an age gap that is acceptable is My OTP Jotasta or Jotaro X Asta. In JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 3, and in Jump Force, Jotaro Kujo is 17, while in Black Clover, Asta is 15 to 16 years in age. The age difference is only 2 years, and it's pretty normal to see a 17-year-old dating a 15 or 16-year-old, hence why this ship is acceptable. An example of what not to do, well, other than the person Kofi will be talking about, that I can think of on the top of my head is Bisky X Killua. I know some people ship them, but it's a 45-year age difference between a 12-year-old boy, which is Killua, and a 57-year-old lolly woman, which is Bisky. That's probably the main reason why I'm not showing a picture of shipping art between the two of them, but instead showing a piece of official artwork. I guess those are my 2 cents on the age difference shipping, but the person Kofi will be talking about will basically be an example of what not to do with age ships, along with many other points when it comes to shipping. That's all for my part. Back to you, Chief.
Whew, finally, you guys get to hear another voice that isn't mine. Thank you so much, Kat, for covering that, because honestly, that's pretty crucial to the person we're talking about today. Stuff that's also not okay is something like shipping family members together. Doesn't matter if they're siblings, or like child dates parent. If it's parent x parent, that's fine. If it's 2 cousins, if it's somebody and their grandchild, and basically shipping family members is pretty much just wrong. I know there's a lot of that, I think, within the Loud House fandom, and honestly, I find it extremely disgusting. I think it's kind of repelled me away from the show. Anyway, back on topic. Another thing that's extremely wrong is an adult and a minor being shipped together. This is also going to come in handy, and I think it's pretty much for obvious reasons. If you guys want to do anything nasty with these characters, just keep in mind, minors can't consent. I know there are age of consent laws, but just keep in mind they do vary from state to state, but overall, at least in the country of the United States of America, the overall age of consent, where it's like 100% legal and 100% A-OK, is 18, aka pretty much when you're an adult. I know that the age of consent is also different around other countries, but just keep in mind, the whole world has come to the conclusion that 18 is pretty much when you're adult and when it's really just 100% okay, and you won't really get charged with statutory or anything like that. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, we're getting to the person that we're talking about. So this person was known as Noreen Loves Spidey on DA, or possibly Noreen Creates Stuff. If that name rings a bell, then this is probably why. She has a character named Rainbow Heart, which she ships with not only Peter Parker from Spider-Man, but also Catboy from PJ Masks. Now you see, as stated earlier, I don't really have a problem with self-shipping or OCX canon. Like, that's fine, go on ahead. It's just there's certain things that you really gotta handle with care. More specifically, the Rainbow Heart x Catboy ship. Now for those who don't know, she has two separate forms of the character itself. One of which is the Equestria Girls version, and the other is the little kid form for PJ Masks. Now you're probably wondering, Kofi, this is fine. Why does this bother you? Well, here's why it bothers me. When it comes to the Peter and Rainbow Heart ship, there's not really much to complain about because these two characters, well, at least these forms, are closer to adults, or if they're aged up enough, they can be adults, and that's fine. You're able to do the nasty dirty when they're adults, and you can kinda toy around with some certain concepts of certain things. Basically, you're just getting a lot more freedom in it. However, with the Rainbow Heart and Catboy ship, there's not really much you can do dirty nasty wise, and it's better to keep that one wholesome because they're both 6 years old in this, so little food for thought. Let's take a look at this picture from Noreen's most recent account, which I'm not going to give out because I don't want you guys to harass her. It depicts Rainbow Heart and Peter Parker having a good old time on Valentine's Day, and this is perfectly acceptable. It's fine because both of the characters are at least close to adults, so I mean, anything romantic that normal couples do that's not sexual will be perfectly fine. It's stuff like this that I'd like to see more of from her. I know she's capable. Now friends, this is where we get to the more questionable pieces of artwork that she's made. There's one that I found that's quite suggestive, so viewer discretion is advised. Let's talk about each one. So this one is just Rainbow Heart daydreaming about Catboy. There's not really too much that I'm uncomfortable with. It's Rainbow Heart's face that, you know, kind of makes it a little unsettling. I'm just gonna say this right now, this one isn't nearly as bad as the one that I found. Okay, so this one I found kind of questionable, mainly because of the poses and the facial expressions. I don't think 6-year-olds are supposed to look at each other like that. None of us are ready for that. This last one you're about to see is extremely suggestive, and keep in mind that these characters are both 6 years old. Viewer discretion is advised. Yeah, I'm just as appalled as you guys are, don't worry. There's so many things wrong with this, I don't even know where to begin. The traced Catboy, the pose, the obvious themes of, you know, nasty, dirty when they're both 6 years old? I mean, those alone are just like the big things. There's so many other things with this and along with other pictures which unfortunately are gone from that account that it's kind of mind-boggling. It's just not the way to handle ships with minors, if that makes any sense. Not only that, the fact that you have these pictures, they're technically CP, which I'm not going to say out loud, you can find out the abbreviation from somebody else, not through me. But I am going to say this, it's something that could wind you up in prison if they found out you had this. I also tried contacting Noreen through notes, which she never responded, but here's the note. It was about a stamp that she made that was anti-Catboy X Rainbow Heart. So I said to her, "Hey there, I don't know if you know me, but my name's Kofi. I've seen your most recent stamp along with a lot of your other art, and I want to tell you something. Please don't take this the wrong way, as I want to help you grow. There's a reason that issues rise when it comes to the Rainbow Heart and Catboy ship. It's not the ship itself. The ship is fine. I even think it's cute. It's the art that's been associated with it. It's the stuff like having Connor nosebleed while looking up RH's skirt while she's portrayed as a kid. It's the kids making out, showing a string of saliva. It's the sexual situations brought into a ship with minors. Fear not, there are ways to avoid that scenario. The two main things are, if you're going to keep them as kids, get rid of the things that are remotely sexual. Or age both characters up as adults and specify that they're adults in the piece. Problem solved. Please keep in mind that I don't mean any harm at all, and your art is very good. It's just that certain stuff that's associated with the Catboy X RH ship is questionable. Merry Christmas, Noreen." Yeah, it was sent around Christmas time. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of disappointed that she never said anything back, but at the same time I also don't really care. This is just one of those scenarios where she thinks it's hate when I'm just trying to help her, and I really don't mean any harm. Speaking of hate, she has gotten a lot of hate on the ship and on her because of it, and the way that she's handled it isn't exactly the best. Noreen, buddy, this isn't the way to handle it. There's a lot more ways to handle this in a more calm and civil manner, and honestly, a word like that being tacked up on you it's pretty damaging. It's really reputation damaging. But that's not the way to fight it. The way to fight it is to show that you really aren't that and how to overcome it and improve as a person and a human, and I gotta stop before I have an aneurysm. So in conclusion, be wary of what you ship. Have fun, but just be very wary. Again, thank you so much to IkuyaCat19 for helping me out with her snippet in the video. It honestly means so much to me, and I'm hoping it can make more DeviantArt Etiquette episodes. And that's it. See ya.